From KCBS Radio in San Francisco, this is Bay Current for Wednesday, November 3rd. I'm Matt Pitman.
We need paid leave for everyone. Speaker Pelosi will get it done. We need paid
Tuesday, outside the San Francisco offices of Speaker Nancy Pelosi at the Federal Building in downtown SF, supporters gathered in support of paid leave and to send a thank you message to Speaker Pelosi.
We're here today because Speaker Pelosi has been a real champion for paid leave. We're wearing superhero capes because we want to show that she's been a hero fighting for families. And we want her to know that we have her back. There are 100 million families who need paid leave now in the United States. And we're rooting for her while she tries to get this back into the bill in Congress.
That's Orly Cortell. She leads Paid Leave for the U.S. and organized the gathering outside the Speaker's home office in San Francisco. As Speaker of the House of Representatives, and long before ascending to leadership, Representative Pelosi has long advocated for paid family leave as law.
Being a mother of 5 in 6 years, I always bring that up, change more diapers than anybody in the Congress. I still would like to see paid leave for the babies if we can't get the rest. But that's still a work in progress, shall we say.
But getting paid leave enacted into law remains one of progressive Democrats' biggest fights in Washington, D.C. Earlier this year, paid leave for federal workers was signed into law by President Biden in the sweeping COVID recovery package. But enacting it into law for all Americans still hasn't happened. And it suffered another blow when the Senate stripped it from the Build Back Better bill still being negotiated. Senate Republicans talked a good game on paid leave when it was a pet project of former President Trump's daughter Ivanka, but now oppose it en masse. But opposition from one figure appears to have torpedoed paid leave this time around, despite Democrats controlling the White House and both chambers of Congress. And that one figure is a Democrat, West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin. As is well chronicled by now, Manchin and Arizona Senator Kyrsten Sinema are the two senators who aren't on board with President Biden's Build Back Better plan, leaving the remaining 48 Democrat senators, the 220 House Democrats, and the overwhelming majority of the 81 million Americans who voted for Joe Biden last November, angry.
Absolutely infuriating how two people, and like one of them not even, maybe, who knows what his family dynamics are, but maybe not even having to deal with that issue. It's infuriating. This affects this affects everybody. So yeah, there's a reason every other nation allows, or most of the nations out there, allow family leave.
That's Stephanie from San Francisco. Stephanie and her 3-year-old daughter, Lottie, were among those gathered to thank Speaker Pelosi and speak up about the need for paid leave. And Stephanie speaks from personal experience about the importance of paid leave for mothers and families in the U.S.
Stephanie, you brought Lottie, your daughter. How old's Lottie today?
She's 3.5.
3.5, all right. So you brought her out here to join these folks outside of Speaker Pelosi's office to say thank you to Speaker Pelosi for her ongoing work in advocating for paid leave. Why was it important for you to be out here, especially with your daughter?
Because it is such a pressing issue, and the fact that one of the richest nations in the world is not able to provide paid leave for families is absolutely outrageous. And this is an issue that I think every one of us at some point, whether that is taking care of your parents, someone else in your family that might be sick, or raising a family. I mean, these are the basic, everybody deals with that, and yet there is no support for it. And, Do
you have a story about how paid leave has impacted you, or maybe how not having paid leave has adversely impacted you?
Yeah, I had to stop my career for a while because I didn't have it, and so I took a year off to be at home with my kid. And I cannot imagine, even with the 3 months that we have here, just to go back to work. I mean, you're constantly, you're nursing, you're barely sleeping, and there is no way you can function and be a great employee at the same time. So yeah, I took a break for a year and on my own costs, and I was lucky and privileged that I was able to do it that way with my husband.
Were you able to go back to your job, or how difficult was it to re-enter the workforce?
I did not go back to my job. I got another job. Ended up with another company.
But in terms of re-entering the workforce, I mean, you kind of have to start from scratch. You know, the whole job search process is no fun, no matter how qualified or experienced or what you do.
Yeah.
How difficult was that after a year off?
It was difficult in terms that I felt like I had to, the pressure was on to go back in the workforce, because I knew like the longer you're, like, you know, the time is ticking. So there was a lot of pressure on me, yeah.
What do you hope Lottie takes away from an event like today and other times that maybe you've brought her out to events?
Well, it's important to stand up for what you believe, and if you want to have a different future. And I hope that when it's her time, whatever she chooses to do, that there will be options, that she will have the option to stay home and take care of a loved one if need be, and not, be stressed out that she's losing her livelihood and can't provide for her family.
And it sounds like you had to make the decision, have a child and quit my job, or keep my job and not start a family. Is that accurate? Is that fair?
That's not fair. And
I mean, is that a fair assessment of the situation you were in?
Yes. Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah. And again, coming from Germany, it's absolutely mind-boggling how that is possible. But then, you're kind of like in this, that's just how it is in America. No one really questions it. And so, that's just how it is, with like so many other things. And so you're just kind of, okay. The same way we're paying almost a second mortgage for childcare right now. That's also outrageous. And so hopefully that at least will get, through the bill.
What does family leave look like in Germany?
You have, and I think it's like, don't quote me, but I think it's like 75% of your pay for like a full year. And you can split that. You can like do less, get a lesser percentage and stay home longer. And then your partner gets family leave as well. So there's two parents that can be at home. Yeah.
Stephanie, thank you for your time. Lottie, thank you. Say hi.
Hi.
There we go. She just made her debut. Appreciate it, ladies. Thank you.
Thank you.
My colleague Margie Schaefer caught up with another mother-daughter combo with another story so familiar to so many.
Okay, so is this your daughter?
Yeah, this is Lucy.
Lucy, and what's your name?
My name is Kate.
And what's your last name, Kate?
Lanfranco.
Okay, and why are you here with your daughter?
I'm here because I'm a federal employee, and when I was pregnant with Lucy, there was not paid leave for federal employees. And so I took 12 weeks of unpaid leave, which was available to me. I'm the breadwinner for my family, and it cost our family $15,000, which we were able to absorb at the time. But Lucy has a little brother, and by the time I had my son, paid leave for federal employees had been passed. And when my son was born, we were facing housing insecurity. We were getting priced out of our San Francisco home. My husband was not working. He was the primary caregiver for our kids due to the pandemic, and I was the only income earner. If we hadn't had paid leave when my son was born, I don't know how we would have been able to manage caring appropriately for our children and supporting our family. It would have totally wiped out our safety net. So I am so grateful that Congress came together in a bipartisan fashion and passed paid leave for federal employees last year. And having lived that experience, I think it's so important that we have paid leave for everybody in this country.
You see it in your neighbors that they've struggled? Do you know of other people who have struggled like you?
I definitely, I have a number of friends now in the Bay Area who have young children, and it's a juggling act. It's really hard for families to make it. Childcare is expensive. Housing is expensive. Taking time off to care for your newborn is really expensive. And these kids are our future. They're future labor, they're future taxpayers, they're future voters. It's not just that my family needs my daughter, our whole society needs my daughter.
Thanks to my colleague, Margie Schaefer, for helping out with today's episode. And thank you for listening. If you haven't already, please subscribe to Bay Current on the Odyssey app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen. You can also catch each episode on YouTube on the KCBS Radio YouTube page, and there's a link in the show notes. Thanks for listening. I'm Matt Pitman. We will chat with you again tomorrow.